Hello everyone, Vic here from Nourish Kids. My guest speaker today is Jess from Little Superheroes. Now, Jess, our topic is all about advocating for your children. And from what I've seen online, I've been following you for a while, is you are just definitely the biggest advocate and voicing advocacy for other parents as well. So, what I ask from other guests is can you share a little bit about your story, your journey, and what led you to be such a strong advocate for your child?
Yes, absolutely. Hi everyone, I'm Jess. Lovely to meet you all. Um, my journey definitely started after having my children. So my first child, Vera, she's nearly 9, and she's amazing little girl. And then my son, Hawaii, so he's nearly 6, and he had a really traumatic entrance to the world, and it's been a really long journey to get to here. And we have a lawsuit for medical negligence with him. And as I was just saying to Vic before, I literally just got a call from the lawyers before this had started, and just again reminding me of how important though that advocacy really is, because for our kids it is such a big thing for them and their life, and when they're so little, and when things are misunderstood or things are going wrong, like we need to really fight for them because they deserve it. And a life sometimes that we never thought we were going to have or never had planned can really throw a whirlwind into your life. But we just have to keep fighting for what is right, especially for our children. Like, I honestly believe that these special kids they're the wisdom keepers. They're teaching us everything, and everything we need to know, and how we can help them is always by advocating for them. Hawaii is 6 and he is non-verbal and non-mobile, and his incident at birth was really traumatic. He was dropped on his head and he was actually dead on arrival. He was brought back to life. And he's been through so much. There was many incidences that happened at birth to cause this, and I just knew that I had to fight to give him the best possible chance at life, because who else is going to? No one but us. So that's my job. And even though it's definitely been a really long and hard journey, knowing that we are doing something for them to give them the best possible chance is everything. So yeah, that's a little bit about my journey.
I hadn't actually heard your story. Yeah, that's a horrible story. So I can't imagine like all the things, all the hurdles that you have to jump through to go through to advocate for your son. So can you explain to us, what does it mean to advocate, and why is it important as parents then to advocate for our children? And why would we need to advocate, and who do we advocate to? So like probably 3 questions in one, but would you be able to, give us an update on advocating?
Absolutely. I think advocating is being present and showing up every single day. It is being the voice for our kids, especially the ones that can't speak. It is translating, their needs and what you might understand about your child to the professional, whether that be a therapist, school teacher, medical, doctor, specialist. Like, it goes on, like the list is of day-to-day things. And I think that it's really important for us to be doing this for our kids, for say our kids in school, where they might be struggling at school and having a really hard time. And I think the best thing to do is to email their teacher, have a discussion, sit down, try and actually sit down in person as well with them and talk about your child, what's going on. Because even though the teacher might see them every day, they're still never going to understand them like you do. You're their expert. And if they're struggling with sensory, with sound, with, anything, with being too close to a teacher or too close to a whiteboard, like I've had some kids that come into therapy with me and they're like, she was made to face the outside window. And I was like, what? Like, it just didn't make any sense of why a teacher who is struggling, sorry, this child had auditory sound processing disorder. She cannot hear properly and was made to face and be at the back of the classroom and facing a wall. I don't get that, but I guess that's where we need to step up and really go and talk and let the teacher know that, hey, like, my child can't really hear you. She can't, if they can't focus with them facing a wall as well, like, how are they going to interact and even learn anything if they're not able to engage with the teacher? And if that's how they like to learn, I don't know, there might be some kids that like to face a wall and they seem to learn better away from distractions, and that's totally fine for them as well. But it's, letting everyone know of what's going on with your child. And again, with therapists, if your child is going to therapies, and letting them know what's been going on, what's been working, what you're noticing, the differences that you're seeing. Because I know myself as a therapist, like, if I'm told and engaged with from the parents and go, oh, they've been doing this week, I'm like, that's great, we're really going to focus on that to keep that going and that repetitiveness for them to really, really hone in on that certain skill. And medical, like, always, going and letting them know anything that's been happening. If you've noticed they're not hearing as well, or if they're not eating as well, or if they're not drinking as well, the smallest things that you think are small can be huge for advocating for your child's needs and supporting them the best way possible.
Yeah, excellent. Well put with the teachers in particular. I've come up against a situation recently, and this is where maybe you can help. You can help me get some tips as well. But I feel like I'm not trained as a teacher. I don't have that special or that professional skill set. I do know my children and my child, but I feel very intimidated to, like, I try to avoid conflict. So I feel very intimidated even having a face-to-face with a teacher. And then when I've got a therapy professional to say, this is the best outcome, or this is the best way to approach my son's things in class, and then I'm taking this to the teacher going, yeah, we need to do this and that and that. And because she knows her classroom best, I just got shot down quite a lot, and the strategies that the professional had come up with weren't being put in place. And I'm like, I don't like the conflict, and I'm bringing this to the attention of the teacher, which she already got emailed a few weeks prior from the professional. But I feel like, parents might feel intimidated when speaking up to professionals, or they don't have the confidence. What would you say to them?
I would say always start small. And I know, like you said, I think you were starting small. You got the information, felt prepared, went in going, yes, the therapist has done this and this and this, and then being shot down. My next advice is make sure you have someone with you to support you. Because I know as well, when my son I had his first family meeting inside the hospital system, and it was only me. My husband was at work. Like, my daughter, she was only little. It was me. We've been in hospital for already about 3 weeks, and I'm being told by the nurses that I need a support support kind of worker inside. Might have been a counsellor to come with me, a social worker. And I was like, why do I need? I don't know her. Like, she doesn't know me. And I walked into the room, and I nearly died. I felt my heart drop to the ground. There was all these specialists sitting around the room, and I had no idea what was going on. And I just remember looking up going, what is going on? Why is there so many of you? And I think what I really needed then was to have someone that knows me next to me, to have that support with me. If it's take your husband, your partner, even your best friend, who, the person that you talk to and that understands you, have that support with you, because that is going to be the biggest thing for you to be able to just keep going through. And It's hard though when you feel that you are dismissed and not talking to and not being understood or heard because they know their room better, but that's not accommodating your child at all. So what I would do, I would be organising another meeting with, if they've got an inclusions officer at the school. Normally schools do, but I would find out and I would implement it with someone else and the teacher. But make sure you have someone else with you. I think that we can go unheard of for so long, and you can keep trying, like you're going with all the information, got that report from the therapist going, yes, I've got this information, we're going to implement this, but then to be shut down, I think, and it's hard when we don't like conflict, because I don't either. I just want everyone to be okay and happy and everything to be good. But when your needs and your child's needs aren't being heard, you just have to keep going. And as hard as that is for you, just remember though that you're doing this for your child, and they need you to step up and be the voice for them to help integrate and implement things that need to happen at school.
Yeah, that was such an important point, especially having a support person with you. That's something that I'm often left to go to appointments by myself. But I do know that if I did have my husband's support there, things might go a little bit differently, or I could share my frustration with the system with him, and then he can help me advocate as well for our child. So how is advocating for a neurodivergent child different from advocating maybe for a disabled child? Like, is there any differences there, or what would you recommend?
I think their advocation for no matter which scenario is always just trying to advocate for your child, getting their support, their needs heard, and trying to get them implemented or what you think can help them. But I guess it can be different on a level of, with disabled kids, you're not just advocating for opportunities, you're often advocating for access. As we know with kids that we look after, that sometimes they don't have access to these therapies, and then trying to get them under NDIS or trying to give them those opportunities can be really, really hard. It's navigating systems that were not built for them, and it's a lot of work. It's constantly having to educate your child's needs with professionals, and whether that's teachers, therapists, or doctors, it can be really, really, really hard. So while neurotypical children generally fit, I guess, somewhat within existing structures, our kids need, disabled kids need to be pushed for modifications, accommodations, and a lot of understanding. And whether it's sensory support, therapy integration, or simple things including the classroom, but that also goes for our neurotypical kids. So advocating in a sense in general, I think, is advocating, and it's just fighting hard for our babies when they deserve it. And it doesn't matter if they're disabled or not. If something's not sitting right with you because you're their expert, you need to advocate for them, even when it's hard, but they need our help.
Yeah. And I think especially if a child is nonverbal, it makes it a little bit trickier because they can't advocate for themselves. And that's it. We know our children best. So it is really important. If they are verbal, to get their opinion, to ask them, to connect with them, to understand what they want out of the situation as well. And not just be like, oh, it's all the parents that want this change, but it is what the child wants. Another situation that just it's outside the normal setting of professionals and schools and therapists, but advocating for your child in even a friendship group or the playground, because it's often they are parents of neurotypical children and they don't understand the needs or why this child's having a meltdown or they're overstimulated. So it is really, and I think that's why I started the podcast, is really to open up people's minds about what these kiddos are actually going through.
Yeah, especially like you said with playgrounds. I remember seeing on a Facebook group post, and it was a mum complaining about, they could tell that the child possibly had ASD and was having an absolute meltdown, and there were so many comments in it of mums saying, whether you're, neurotypical or neurodivergent, they should know better, left and right. And I'm just going, this is insane. Like, you have no idea that this child is not trying to be naughty. They're not trying to do the wrong thing. It is the way that their brain is currently wired. Like, that's what their brain is telling them to do. So if you go and tell them they're doing the wrong thing, they are going to look at you and go, what? Like, they're not going to understand. And again, not their fault. Like, it's just the way that they are. And there's so much ignorance out there, and I'm sorry, but there is, like, with people not understanding. And it's okay if you've got a neurotypical child, but I think we need to educate people for them to be able to understand. And then there's going to be a lot more love. Like, if you're understanding that this child can't talk or is having a meltdown and it's just best to leave them and they're not meaning any harm, of course take them from harm's way. But if we can educate people on that, then there's going to be a lot more love in the world, and people will start to understand that it's so different from neurotypical, especially on the playground.
Yeah, absolutely. Well put. Well put. Yeah, I was going to do a whole topic on inclusion in sport. So particularly with my son has more of a invisible disability, right? But the amount of bullying he's received from a sports setting, and he shows up every single day, that's a whole nother topic. But, if we can just be kinder to these children and be kinder in general, because we never know what people are going through, especially parents that might spend their days, hours raising these children, but also advocating for them. And then that toll that it has on their body, and they're exhausted, but just showing up and just being kind, just like you said, in every single situation, just be kind.
Yeah, because it will go so far. Like, it can honestly change the world.
Oh, absolutely. So how do you, we probably already addressed this before, but how does someone prepare for an important meeting with teachers, therapists, or doctors?
Always be prepared. I know when I have any therapist session or doctor's appointments with Hawaii has 24 specialists. He has 24 specialists. So every time I just make sure that I'm prepared. So if I know that I'm going to see neurosurge, for instance, because they're his big ones, because he's had a lot of brain surgeries, and I will just document if it's been fine, it's been fine. But if there's been things going on, just always letting them know. Just have a file with you, and whether it's even going to the teacher and just going, hey, I just want to chat to you about my child. This has been happening at home. They said this has happened at school, and just let them know, because half the time I think they're so busy, especially teachers, I think, are so busy. They've got so many kids to look after in the one classroom, and there's a lot of pressure on them. But sometimes just simply having the documentation, let them know, and even going with the reports from therapists and stuff like that, because it just backs it. And then I think they go, oh, they might actually take you a little bit more seriously most of the time, and just actually start listening to you if you've got the documentation to back it all up. But just be prepared that you might have to go again, as we discussed earlier, because I don't know if they're going to listen the first time, but sometimes it does take a few times for them to actually understand.
A great one that I had with one of my kiddos that I work with is the school invited us to a stakeholder meeting, and they got all the therapists involved. So I think there was about 8 different therapists involved, not quite 24, but 8 is still great to have therapists online in a Zoom call. The parent was there in person, the classroom teacher and the principal, and they're all sharing some great stuff about how to deal with this child and some strategies that they can put in place. And even as a therapist that was working with this child, I picked up on so much that I could be doing with her as well, let alone what the classroom teacher could get from various different therapies. So I thought that's the first time I've been involved in that. And with my own son, that's never been offered. But I think it's a great way, because we can all learn from each other. So if your child is at school, try and get all your therapists involved and do a stakeholder meeting.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been through that with under NDA.
Have you been ever?
Yeah, just for Hawaii, just with under all his therapists, and just at the start of the year, we try to do, okay, what are the goals? What are we doing? What are we working towards? Just so everyone can understand the child together. And again, though, you're hearing, oh yeah, I might actually try that, or no, learning something new, going, oh, we could implement that at so and so or XYZ, whilst we're doing this. I think so having that stakeholder meeting at the start of the year with all the therapists, and I think, like you said, you can learn so many things from everyone, because everyone's also got different perspectives. But coming together with all the therapists, and then you're going to start understanding the child a little bit more as well. And again, just learning so many different tools and techniques that we can introduce to truly help them. It's a great idea. Stakeholder meetings are great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, perfect. Now, is there any particular language or phrases that you have found helpful when explaining your child's needs?
I think, I think I want to say that within a medical setting, I sometimes feel like I don't get listened to unless I am really raising my voice, which I don't encourage. And I'm sure the hospital has got a file on me going, oh my God, this mother is the most annoying mother because she asks all these questions. But I've had to advocate really hard for him in hospital settings. And I've had arguments with the head neurosurgeon in the middle of ICU after he's just come out of surgery because they did something half-assed. Hawaii has a shunt in his brain, and it was malfunctioning. So he's rushed for emergency brain surgery, and when they came out and said, yeah, we fixed the top half. And I was like, what do you mean you fixed half of it? They're like, it only needed that repair. And I was like, that's insane. Like, you need to do the whole thing. And then 3 months later, I had to go back because he had something malfunctioning because they didn't fix the whole thing. And I, again, had to go raise my voice a bit and just express my concerns with, I think mothers are also very intuitive with their children. And when I first went in saying, I know there's something wrong, they were like, there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I just know that there's something wrong. And they're like, well, we've just done an x-ray and there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, you need to go further. You need to do a CT scan. So they did a CT scan, and then they're gone, okay, yep, there is something wrong. He's being rushed in for emergency brain surgery now. And mothers, your intuition is your biggest thing. It is going to help you, guide you through all the advocating, knowing that there is something going on, and just advocating for your child is the best thing you can possibly do. So wording is a really hard one because I found that when I've been angry, I seem to be listened to more, but I don't like doing that because I don't like the conflict either. Again, I like everyone to be okay, everyone to be loved, and everyone to feel that. But I think certain words that you can use are maybe like, I've noticed at home that I've done X, Y, Z. Are we able to integrate that in therapy? Or, I've just noticed this with my child. Are you able to help with this? Just those kind of things help as well. And just saying that, this is now, or even if you've noticed it 3 or more times, telling them this has happened now 3 or more times. Could we maybe look at redirecting to this way? I think backing up with evidence is always going to help with the wording as well.
Yeah, perfect. And also in the medical setting, do you find that they use a lot of terminology that doesn't really suit a parent? Like, it's hard in that situation where they're talking all these medical terms and you're like, I have no idea what you're saying. So I'm just like nodding my head and agreeing. Or do you stop them and say, can you explain that to me so I can understand it?
I often say, can you explain it to me so I understand it? Another one that I use is in the medical setting is, I need you to explain that to me, how this is going to functionally impact my child's daily life. I feel like that can get a better throwback with being explained to it better. But, when Hawaii had a EEG in the brain because I thought maybe absent seizures, and it came back with there's brain activity there, but we don't know what it is. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what it is? Like, you're the neurologist in this hospital. And they're like, we don't know what it is. You just need to accept that it's possibly not seizures. And I'm going, that doesn't sit well with me. Like, my child has come in here for help. Like, that's not okay. And then that's the reason why I've gone and studied functional neurology, because I want to understand what's going on in his brain. And when we go and study this work, because it came from that. Like, he had 6 emergency brain surgeries before he was 1, and every single time with that surgery, I had to walk him in to the surgery, and he was either screaming, going off, and I would sing to him every single time before he got put to sleep, because it was the only thing that could start calming him down, to make sure that he heard my voice before he was put to sleep. So it's been a very big journey, but I think it just is what it is.
Yeah. Wow. Your journey, even dissecting it through this conversation, is just huge. So I hope you're finding that you're getting support as well as the caring mother, because I can't imagine how much toll it's taking. But I know that you come across so strong. So I don't know where you're like, oh, I avoid conflict. I don't like conflict. But this is why I got you on here, because you are such a great advocate.
I think though it's from experience. It was hard, at the start, and experience can help you get through it. But at the end of the day, all I know is that I had to fight for my child's right to stay alive. Like, literally. I have had those arguments, like I said, with the neurosurgeon in the middle of ICU. And whilst I didn't want to have it, I was like, no, this is not good enough. What you have done for my child is not good enough. He's just had three emergency brain surgeries within a few months because you did the wrong thing. That was your fault. And I think having to do that, because who else was going to do it? No one. They thought that, doing half a surgery in the brain was going to be okay. And unless I spoke up, it was just going to keep happening. And then he was going to have to go back over and over and over again. And when they did that half one, that resulted in having 4 surgeries within a 5-week period. And that's because they did the wrong thing.
Oh, wow. When they could have done
it was horrendous. He brain hemorrhaged. Then after he had emergency brain surgery, then he had to have another shunt put in, draining blood into a glass vial to get all that blood out. Then the list went on, and it was huge. And I think going through the depths of that has obviously helped make me stronger, because it's been the bottom of the bottom. He was dead when he arrived, and I think going through that is something really, really hard. Whilst I'm forever grateful that he's here, but we will have to continue to fight for him for the rest of his days.
Yeah. Wow. Incredible. Now, if parents feel like they aren't being heard by schools or medical professionals, what steps could they take? Have you ever taken it further than the professional that you're dealing with, gone above their head? Or is it generally, once you raise your concern, they do actually listen to you?
No, we've had to go further. When he was in hospital for that long period, I had to call Ryan's rule as well, because I wasn't being heard. And so he was deteriorating. So for those in Queensland, know that there is something called Ryan's rule, and that if your child is in the medical system, whether it be hospital, doctors, whatever, that if you're not being listened to and you want a second opinion, you can call Ryan's rule. And that's because another little boy had passed away because they weren't being heard at all. So they had now created this law for this rule to be implemented. And I've had to do that with Hawaii. And I was even like, I don't want to do this, but I know I need to, because his health was going downhill. He was going downhill, and ICU didn't want to take him. And so I had to call them out, and I had to call Ryan's rule. And even when all the pediatricians were he needs to go downstairs to ICU, he's going downhill very, very fast, they wouldn't take him. So I implemented Ryan's rule, we got heard, and he got taken down and got looked after. But I think, again, just knowing that no matter how many times we have to do it, we just have to do it. We might not be heard the first, second, third, fourth time, but if it means that we have to do it 100 times, I'm sure we'll all do it 100 times over, because it's for our child's benefit and to help them thrive, no matter what the situation is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, incredible. Okay, so lots of things that we've covered in today's chat. If parents can remember to just do one thing from our conversation, what would you recommend? What do you think it should be?
You are your child's greatest advocate, and you don't have to know everything. You honestly don't. But I think you do need to believe strongly in your child and that you are doing the right thing for them. And it is their every right to be seen, heard, and loved and supported in no matter which way that it is. So that belief and that love can change everything. Just keep loving them, keep believing, and never, ever give up.
Yeah, incredible. Thanks to finish on that one. Now, Jess, I know you run a clinic similar to what I do, using movement to help the brain and help developmental delays in children, but you also run some other programs online all around food and how to deal with meltdowns. So where
Yes.
can people find you if they want more information?
Yeah, absolutely. Just either on Instagram, which is Little Superheroes. I'll give you the details, the exact details of that. But our website is just littlesuperheroes.com.au, and that has a list of everything on there too. So it's probably the easiest way. Just head to there and send me a message at all. Like you, I think we come from having kids that need that little bit of help, and we want to help everyone as much as we can. So always here, always.
Excellent. Thanks, Jess, for coming on the podcast. And I hope our audience is now equipped with advocating for their children and know where to find you for more information. So thanks so much.
Thank you. If anyone ever honestly needs any help with advocating, just reach out. I'm here for it, because that's what our kids need.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.